Welcome, everybody, to the Experience More Tour. My name is Marshall, and I am the facilitator of the Experience More Tour. I get to work with an amazing team of people, and we develop cool training curriculum. And today we are inviting on to join us on the Experience More Tour the HOKA FET team. We have with us Melanie Harsha and Brian Bell with HOKA. These are amazing folks who are not only athletes, but also HOKA trainers. And so we're going to bring them on today to chat about, well, all things HOKA, but specifically some of the hike product. And then we're going to sneak peek a little bit the new garments coming out as well. And to do that, we've brought with us today, or invited into the call, two folks who are calling a little bit late for them because it's late afternoon. Evening, I guess, pretty solidly into the evening. We have Melanie Harsha and Brian Bell joining us today. Welcome. Good to see y'all. Nice to be back with you.
Hey y'all.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks. So let's do a little intros because I think it would be nice for the community to get perspective on who you all are and what your background is. So Melanie, I'm going to begin with you. Let us know a little bit about how long you've worked at HOKA and what it is exactly you do at HOKA.
Yeah, so hey y'all, my name is Melanie Harsha. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the field experience representative based in Nashville, Tennessee. And I cover the Tennessee territory, and then I just have a little corner of Virginia, Damascus, Virginia. So. And I've been with HOKA for 5 years, so
There you
sorry.
go. So driving around the Virginia area, I'm not Appalachia. I don't know. I don't want to say it wrong here.
Appalachia, or I'll throw in
Appalachia zone.
Appalachia.
Nice, I got it. Zone really getting out there and working with hikers and trail runners and trail crews and all of that to kind of let people know about HOKA. And Melanie, on your free time, what is it that you love to get outside and do?
So I currently, because I have a job, I am a ultra runner, but whenever I step away from my job, I like to through hike. I've done the Triple Crown of hiking, which is the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and Continental Divide trails.
So a ton of experience out on the trail. So I'm going to be leaning on some of that as we talk about this hike product and really what works for hikers and things like that. So Melanie, welcome. We're psyched you're here.
Thank you.
And then we also have joining us from not too far away from Melanie, but a little bit. We have Brian Bell joining us from HOKA. Brian, how long you been with HOKA, and what is it you love to do there at HOKA?
Yeah, excuse me. I met Melanie about a little over 3 years ago now, and she told me that they were, reworking the district I now have, and I should apply. So I followed through with it, and things kept going, and here I am. So I've been here almost 3 years with HOKA, and I am what she does, a little bit northeast of her, the field experience rep for the DC, Virginia, and Baltimore area, or the DMV.
And then Brian, what is it that you like to do on your spare time when you get out and hike around? Are you going up and down the country?
Yeah, I too like to go for really long walks outside, and then sleep there at the end of the day. I have done shorter but different through hikes. We've done the Wonderland Trail around Mount Rainier, Trans Catalina Trail, a bunch of stuff over in Scotland, coast to coast across the Highlands several times, and some big chunks of the Appalachian Trail, but I haven't strung it all together yet.
That's fantastic. So a ton of trail experience, and I know we were just chatting. You got back from Scotland recently and had a good adventure out there. I've always wanted to go up to Scotland. I've never been to that zone, and it looks incredible. Well, welcome, and let's get into it. Let's talk about HOKA a little bit, and let's begin with kind of where HOKA begins. And so, Brian, can you give us a little perspective on, who HOKA is and why it came to be, and why is it so popular right now? What's really clicking with everybody out there in the HOKA product?
We started with a kind of a single origin point, trail shoes going downhill faster in the mountains of France, over in Chamonix. Nico and Jean-Luc had this idea to try and get us all to be able to go downhill as fast as possible, as comfortably as possible. And they took a lot of inspiration from, the gravity sports out there, the mountain biking, and all of those things. And Melanie will get into what that has transformed into as far as like the pillars of HOKA and what we're known for. But they just started off, kind of like the Frankenstein's monster. They put a big old block of foam on the bottom of this shoe. There you go, right there, the first official Mafate, and After each descent, they shaped it with the Dremel tool and found new quirks and things that worked better until they landed on something they liked, and then they started to base all of the shoes moving forward from that line off of what you see there. But that is the original Mafate right there on the screen.
Yeah, and it certainly has evolved since then. But there are some constants that I think the original founders really developed, right? This framework, which was called the HOKA experience. And I think this is part of what makes HOKA so popular because these work, right? He figured out kind of the Midas touch early on. So, Melanie, can you take us through the HOKA experience and how it maybe expresses itself in various products?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are three things that make Hoka different than any other shoe out there, and you will find all three of these things in every single Hoka. It looks a little differently depending on which shoe we're looking at, but all Hokas are going to have a cushioned midsole. So it's what you know and love about Hoka. It's what Nico and John Luke slapped on the bottom of their shoes all those years ago. The purpose of a cushioned midsole is for shock absorption and comfort. So marshmallow soft with speed. And here's a little graphic here kind of showing that going through the gait cycle there. The second thing that makes Hoka different is the meta rocker. So as Brian alluded to earlier, Nico and Jean-Luc are ultra runners, but they also like to ride their bikes. What do bikes do? They go downhill very easily. So when they were looking at how to shape the foam on the bottom of their Hokas, they were looking at their bike wheels. So the meta rocker is how we shape our foam. So the wheels that move you forward, if you've ever put on a Hoka before, that you'll know, especially if you think back to your first time, there's almost that rocking sensation. That's on purpose. We want to propel you forward. We want to make running, walking, hiking downhill easier. The third thing that makes Hoka different is the active foot frame. I think when a lot of people look at Hokas, they think, oh, I'm going to be sitting on top of all this cushion and being very unstable. We actually combat that with our active foot frame. So you're sitting about 3 millimeters inside the foam, inside the cushion, cradled. I like to compare it between like a stand-up paddleboard and a sit-in kayak. Our shoes are not like a stand-up paddleboard. Our shoes are like a sit-in kayak. So you're sitting inside the foam, inside the cushion, inherently a little bit more stable.
Yeah, what does that give you, like sitting down in there? What do you think one of those benefits is? Why build the foam up around the edges?
Yeah, so just for comfort and fit and then lateral stability. So like we're going to be talking a lot about our trail products today. So if you're on the trail, it's going to be uneven rocks and roots. So we want that a little bit of a lateral like a little bit more lateral control
Okay.
in the way
Right, it
we do our
locks you
active
in,
foot
so you're
frame.
kind of not going to slide side to side. Even if you step on uneven
Hmm.
surface, you're not going to be flipping out of the shoe. You're going to be in there. And can you give
Exactly.
us like some examples of like shoes that maybe have, you know, the most cushion midsole or maybe the most meta rocker, just so we have an example of
Yeah.
any of the extremes and maybe one that is much more subdued and minimal.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our most popular shoes, the Bondi, is going to have quite a bit of cushion. And then one of our less cushion shoes is the Mock. And we have different purposes for both of those shoes, right? Like we're looking for comfort in our more high cushion midsole, and then maybe a little more responsiveness in the less cushion, but we're still going to have cushioning because we're Hoka. And then the Meta Rocker, I like to always talk about some of our racing shoes. So the Cielo X13, what are we on? 2.0. Um, and then Rocket X3, some of these racing shoes, we want to propel you forward. They got carbon plates. It's what our Olympic athletes wear. Those are going to have a really intense meta rocker, whereas some of our hiking shoes that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, those are not going to have as intense of a meta rocker. They'll have a little bit because we do want to make hiking, running, downhill easier, but we don't want you to roll down the mountain. We want you to be able to have, control, and we don't want you to get too intense down going down that mountain.
That's cool, right? So you can really take this framework, these three variables, and really tune them specifically, whether it be a max cushion training shoe, a race day shoe, a hike product, right? And really kind of play with it. But you're going to see these in all of them. And I like to use this just to evaluate some of the products as they come in, right? And get that understanding of what they're for. That's part of the fun of picking up and playing with new product. Um, well, today we really want to focus on the hike product, specifically looking at the Kaha 3 GTX and then also the just about to be released Transport Hike GORE-TEX. That's a new offering in the line. But let's take a look, first of all, with hike product and just that kind of general overview of hike product and how it expresses itself. So Melanie, can you take us through
Yeah.
a little bit on this hike family?
Yeah, so I love this slide. I'm a super visual person, so it's nice just to kind of lay out what we have going on in the hike category right now. So kind of starting from the left to our most like long haul hiker in the Kaha, all the way to the transport family, which is going to be more of a daily commuter light hiker. So, and then a few things in between. And again, as we said in the beginning, if you have any questions about any of these models, you can drop them in the chat and Brian and I will tag team to answer them. Um, and we might have another HOKA person or two on the call as well, but somebody will get those questions answered. But just had the Mafate X Hike launch this week. It's our first shoe with Reco technology, which is really exciting. Obviously, it's a statement piece. As you can see, it kind of pops out on the screen there. So we do have that. It does not have GORE-TEX. So if you are looking for your long haul hiker, that's still going to be your Kaha.
And let's go look at that Kaha specifically, right? This came out
Yeah.
last spring. It's had a little time on the market now, and it's part of a larger family, right? The Kaha 3 Gore-Tex and the Kaha 3 Low Gore-Tex really came out last spring, but these other products, I know you've used some of these out there. So the Kaha family really in that I would say robust, really well built product, right?
Yeah.
Comparable to like a Loa Renegade or something like that, where you really somebody who's going to be wearing a little bit of weight, getting out there for long distances in the Kaha 3 and
Yeah.
the Kaha Low. But there's some others in here. So tell us a little
Yeah.
bit more about this family and how you perceive it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll dive into the Kaha 3 on the left side in just a moment, but we do have the Frost line on the right side. So we're going to think cold weather with both of these. So I really like the Kaha 2 Frost Mock. I volunteer at a lot of aid stations for ultras. And we were just standing there, handing ultra runners pickle juice for 3 hours, and you can't feel your toes. It's not very comfortable, in the wintertime. So I love my frost mock. It's like a sleeping bag for my foot. This thing is just keeps me like warm, and especially if I have to go up to the aid station on a trail, it has the Vibram outsole, so I can get up there on the trail as well. If you're familiar with what Gorp is, that this is very popular with that consumer as well. With like I have a Hoka flyer, Hoka ambassador here in Nashville. She's very cool. She works for NPR in the music industry. She rocks this all over town.
Mm.
She looks really awesome in it. And then the Kaha 2 Frost Gore-Tex is going to be uh, rated for for cold weather, and has a lot of the same technology, but that is going to be more of your long haul hiker for winter conditions.
Well, let's take a look at the Kaha 3 then and what it's specifically for, and take us through a little bit about that Hoka framework that you talked about and how it might reflect in the shoe.
Yeah. So as I've said a couple times, this is going to be your long haul hiker. Just updated earlier this year in January, so it's going to be cushier and more durable than ever before. We do have a TPU heel counter and TPU on the heel cap, TPU thermoplastic polyurethane, just to help with resistance. But the way that we've designed it is it molds right there onto the shoe. This shoe, the Kaha 3, also has a spectacular step-in feel. We added a cushier sock liner, so as soon as you step into it, you should feel nice and comfortable. Um, and that will help also combat foot fatigue with that cushy sock liner. The purpose of the Kaha 3 is for long distance hiking. We obviously have Gore-Tex, Vibram, a lot of technology in this shoe. We have a lot of really great colors right now too. So we also want to make sure that it's a good looking boot for whenever you go tag your 14er and then you go to brunch after. So good looking shoe. Like I said, we have some really great colors right now. This is our one of our more subdued. But as you can see on your screen, we have some fun pops of color as well. Um, I really like this shoe. I wore this, not this one. I have another one. This is my presenting one, but I do have a Kaha that I bring out specifically for trail work. I was working on a trail last week in the mud, so I was pretty happy to have this shoe out there. Um,
So
and
that's the
then
mid, and then there's a
go
low
ahead.
version as well.
There
Kind of
is.
taking a look. The bottom tooling is the same So for those who prefer a low, right? But it's got this cool little shroud around the edge. And if you ever get these one in your hands, take a look at this material. It's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so the soft shroud around the ankle area, not technically a gaiter, but it can act to keep a little bit of grit out without creating like a super like intrusive or obtrusive structure. So yeah, this is a great low model. And I will say like that shroud really does help to keep some of that grit out.
Well, let's do what we always do here, Experience Smart Tour, and cut these shoes in half, which we just did. And here is a photo of the Kaha 3 low cut in half. What do you notice when you look at this, Melanie? Where are you sitting in the shoe? What kind of features can you point out to us?
Yeah, yeah. So everybody think back to a few slides ago when I talked about the cushion midsole, the meta rocker, and the active foot frame. I love whenever y'all cut these in half because you can really see some of these features in there. So you can tell that you're sitting inside. Obviously, the sock liner, the insole has been pulled out of this shoe. So you're sitting inside that foam, inside that cushion. But another thing I want folks to look at on this particular this view is that there's a dual density foam in the Kaha. So the top the top layer is going to be softer for that soft step-in feel that I talked about earlier. The bottom is going to be slightly firmer for more rebound through that gait cycle. So that dual density, which you can see really nicely as well, like for visual folks, whenever if you are working in a store and you don't have a shoe readily available cut in half, a lot of our colors are slightly different. So this darker brown going to be that softer foam, and then that lighter brown is going to be that more firm foam.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you get that benefit of that instant step in, that rebound, that cushiony, but you can't have that all the way through in a hiking shoe. You need a little more rigidity in the outsole for rock plates, a little bit more stability on uneven surfaces. And so you build in, rather than a firm plastic plate, you're building in a higher durometer foam, something that's going to give us a little support on there. And it's neat how they're kind of married together and extruded into each other a little bit to really hold
Hmm.
stable in that shoe. And as a person, I've worn both the low and the mid in these, and it's cool. You feel instantly like you're in this kind of really cradling, comfortable shoe, and it's got a little spring to it, and it does have some rocker to it, right? And you can feel that
It
as you kind
does.
of rock forward into the next step. It's a cool feeling. Um, I want to show off the technology that went into this, which was a really interesting selection, and I love it, of putting an invisible fit into this shoe. So invisible fit is a technology developed by GORE-TEX. It's exclusive to GORE-TEX, where we directly bond our waterproof, windproof, breathable membrane to the exterior of the shoe. So there's no booty technology in this. It's a direct bonding. And so this is a GORE-TEX shoe, right? Even though you don't see like a booty hanging in the inside. So really, it's just a direct bonding, very direct way of getting the GORE-TEX technology in that. It wraps completely around your foot, even through that heel area. And because it's directly bonded to the exterior of the shoe, this allows HOKA to then drop in a custom drop liner on the inside. And so they can use and choose that cool shroud material, that really nice heel lining material, and then custom pad that zone to create like that perfect little heel fit in the back of the shoe. So this features a GORE-TEX Invisible Fit, as does the mid, which is quite remarkable to be able to offer invisible fit in a mid shoe, right? So it really looks pretty much the same by having just the direct bonding all the way through, but then again, that custom heel zone through the back of the shoe. So that is how the GORE-TEX got into there. And it's just a testament to GORE-TEX or our HOKA's factories and the sophistication that they're able to update and move into this brand new technology with the Kaha 3 GORE-TEX. So a really cool shoe, and have folks try it on. If you haven't tried on Visible Fit yet, this might be a good one to try if you're a hiker. It really is different feeling, and almost in the way that you can't tell GORE-TEX is in there until you need the benefits of waterproof, windproof, breathable. Let's bump to the next shoe. Thank you, Melanie, for running us through that. And let's bump to the next shoe, which is in the hike category, but it's also in this transport family, which is a unique family for HOKA, and I think a growing category overall. Brian, what is the transport family? And really, when you close your eyes and think about it, who is it intended for?
Yeah, it's a shoe we came out with that was pretty much aimed directly at the commuter, right? Folks who wanted to be able to wear a shoe to work and then not have to change once you got there. Take a quick little hike on their lunch break and not have to go through the hassle of bringing more footwear with them to work to do it. So we put a few key things in a low profile, sleek, office friendly shoe that allows both of those things to coexist, right? So you can get away with riding your bike to work and then also wearing this all day. Or doing what I said and sneaking out on your lunch break, for a nice walk in the call and not have to, flop out of the shoes to get into them. So we designed this with the commuter in mind, and it's kind of built what we're about to talk about off of that, with a little bit beefier features.
Yeah, right. That person, the transport itself is more like city oriented with the ability to go on an occasional hike, maybe a stroll through a park and feel pretty good in that situation. But then there's also kind of the opposite version, maybe something that is a little more hike oriented, but you could still use around town and feel really comfy in, right? And
Yeah.
that's the vision I think for this next shoe, the transport hike.
Yeah, this shoe, I use it personally for like my gravel bike rides. I don't have, all the shoes and stuff that everyone has. It's biking is kind of just a hobby for me, not a total deep passion. But this shoe works best for me on that because
Hmm.
our speed lacing system, I don't have to worry about untying or having anything get caught in it. But it's great. It's low profile, super lightweight. So this for me has filled the gap of being a nice, bike friendly shoe.
And that's the transport shoe. But and so
This is a
right, really great kind of all around low top, super comfy around town, like you said, great for occasional bike ride, right? I like the idea of it being a good shoe for flats.
yeah.
And then there's the transport hike. And so why did this come to be? What gap was this trying to fill?
Yeah, I'm not sure it was trying to fill a gap so much as it was maybe just trying to break into a spot where we've already kind of set the standard, right?
Hmm.
This is a little bit more of a low profile version of some of the hiking footwear that we have. But for those who do like the transport option, we've just beefed it up a little bit to make it, go from the gravel path to work to the mountain after work, right? So this is still a really good shoe for all around use, but I think we're just kind of trying to elevate it into the hiking sphere in a way that'll make it a pretty good contender for some of these, adventures moving forward.
Yeah, it's a cool shoe. And of course, we cut this one in half as well. So, Brian, can you take us through a little bit about what you see in this cut shoe?
Yeah, so a little differently, and you can speak about it too. This is a booty liner inside of this, but you'll notice pretty much across the bottom there is no dual density foam with this. This is one singular piece of foam going across. It is a 30% sugarcane EVA midsole, which is great, and you can still see our features here that Melanie had talked about. Our smoother meta rocker, that active foot frame, looking at the back, seeing how deep you actually are sitting in that shoe. And the cushioning, it's not our highest cushion by any means, but it is cushioned nonetheless, and it's really really uh, it's one of those ones like you said, you have to get it on your foot to kind of feel how this works. It feels a little more dense than some of our offerings, but I think I personally like it in the sense of it feels supportive all the way through. These dual densities are fantastic, but the ones we do that only have one density option, I also think are great because it's just super stable all the way through. And
And it
you can
helps to
kind of
lighten up the load a little bit, right? You're not quite as on as much material. The single density is going to be a little bit lighter, right?
yeah,
And so what we got with this shoe is a little bit lighter materials on the upper, being a synthetic upper versus a leather, and then like you said, a little less underfoot. And then even the outsole, right? It's not a continuous outsole. They're able to really trim down this outsole, make it a very lightweight outsole to give this thing a little pep to it.
yeah,
It's
and
nice.
this is a great view of exactly that. So you'll see on the bottom when we move forward, like you'll see the lug patterns that we use, but this is a good cross section here, so you can see the depth of those lug patterns, right? It's not as aggressive as some of the offerings that we have, but it's aggressive enough to get the job done. So this is like a nice 4 millimeter lug depth, designed to help shed the mud and the sand and the gravel and the grit and all the stuff you'll encounter while having this on. But make it so you don't have to, anybody who lives anywhere in the mid-Atlantic or the Southeast has, come back inside with, clay pancakes on their shoes, right? Like it's just the thing that happens. So this helps let those go, right? So that's not something you have to contend with.
Let's take a look at those outsoles because that tells a lot about the intentionality of the shoe. So on the left, we begin with the regular transport, so the transport GTX, the low. In the middle is the Transport Hike, and then on the right, you see the outsole of the Kaha 3 GTX, right? And it is really pretty clear to me looking at these that there is some intentionality built into these three outsoles, right? Kind of going from like a street tire to an all-terrain to like a full-on off-road tire here with these. What do you see like when you look at the bottoms of these, Brian, in comparison?
I see pretty much exactly what you just pointed out, but starting with the far left, the transport right there, it's good. It's aggressive. It's not just a flat sole like a dress shoe kind of a thing, so it'll get the job done for the bike rides and the walks. But moving just one iteration over, you can see we've added the traction lugs on the bottom of that. So increasing the depth, but then also you'll kind of look and see what looks like the little balls on the sides of it, right? Like those are designed to help grip what you're going into. And those vents that are kind of cut into the mid pieces there and the way that they're even angled a little bit differently, that's all to shed all that stuff we were talking about, right? So you can step right in the mud and keep on going and not bring half of it with you. So the design there was really intentional, but really well brought to, brought to fruition with the design style there. While it's still not being, if you take a regular trail shoe we have sometimes, if you go walking on the hard tiles of Costco with a mafate on, it'll sound like you're maybe walking through there with some soccer cleats, right? This won't sound that way.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The
aggressive
flatter
enough.
lugs on the transport are going to be much more subdued, right, and feel better on a
100%,
hard
yeah.
floor like that. Um, well, Brian, thanks for running us through the transport family. Neat to see these kind of streets to peaks type of shoes where you can get out, right? I know in HOKA is based in Portland, and there in the middle of Portland is a very large park, Forest Park, where during lunch a lot of people are out going for a walk, right? And that's I think where some of this intentionality came from,
Yeah.
an application like that. I want to shift gears briefly here to show us all kind of something exciting coming from HOKA, right? Uh, we've been working as a partner with HOKA for quite some time now. I think it's going on almost 4 years that we've been working with HOKA on bringing footwear product up to, bringing waterproofness to their footwear product. And one of the things that really, and I commented on this before, is Hoka's ability to have some of the best factories in the world. They've been early adopters in the invisible fit technology, and even in their booty application, like really well applied, well designed, and well constructed products. And this really, that alignment and that partnership allowed us to build a lot of trust. And when Hoka is ready now to kind of branch into outerwear, we were really all in on being able to extend the license to be able to go towards the world of outerwear. And this fall, Hoka is releasing 2 outerwear products using GORE-TEX technology. On the left, you see the Skybreeze GORE-TEX jacket, and on the right is the Transport GORE-TEX jacket. And as you can imagine, the Transport being something more that casual vibe, right? And that's certainly what that is. It's almost like a waterproof casual, almost like a hoodie or a sweatshirt feeling. It uses a soft interior liner on it, it's a 3-layer technology, but it uses our brushed SSD backer, paired with a 30 denier stretch nylon on the exterior. And this just makes this a really nice casual piece, right? Something for hiking. Like think of it as just a raincoat that you could sell to really anybody, and they're gonna be pretty psyched to have this 3-layer jacket. Still pretty lightweight with a 30D face. Also using a 3-layer technology, so still very packable, but loaded with pockets and pit zips and all the features that I think folks are going to want, like the hiker or that city to hike type of piece. And then for the other garment, which is the one you see on the left, right? This is a unique piece. The concept here was to go full minimal on this. And so I was able to get a couple early versions of this to be able to try them out. And so I can speak to them and sort of how they functioned. And I really want to talk a bit about the Skybreeze, because to me, it is a unique piece in the GORE-TEX world. The idea here was, can they build a piece for endurance athletes that is just as minimal as possible? As a person who likes to get out and do a lot of endurance sports, right? I don't want a big pack. I want lightweight. I want, if I'm going to bring a rain jacket with me, I want it to be extremely packable. So I actually have it with me when I need it. And then when I deploy it, I just want it to be as lightweight and minimalist as possible. I'm not looking for pockets, right? Because I'm moving all the time. I'm probably wearing like a hydration vest or if on my bike, I'm going to have a place to carry the things that I need. So I don't need a lot of pockets. In fact, I don't want them in the garment. And Hoka really answered this call. Now, they work closely with their ultra runners. And on the right side of this photo, you can see Jim Walmsley, one of the most winningest ultra runners in the world, right? And they worked closely with him to design this. What features do you want or don't you want in this? And it really just, what they ended up with was something that has 0 pockets, no Velcro, absolutely minimalist, even down to the fact where they don't build in a brim. They're building a very minimal scuba hood, no drawstrings in it or anything like that to add weight, right? How can they cut weight all the way? And one of the ways that they can get away without having a brim on the hood and still pass our rain room test is that runners are always wearing a hat, right? That's just kind of a thing that runners always use. And so you're going to have a brim already built into your hat. So this is designed to integrate with running hats, again, just to be absolutely minimalist. And one of the advantages of not putting any pockets in the garment is that those are zoned. When you put a pocket into a jacket, you have to have what's called a pocket bag, right? The outside fabric exists, and then you got to have like some type of backer pocket or fabric to create the pocket where you put stuff. Well, that's 2 layers of fabric now. Sometimes in some pockets, even 3 layers of fabric. And what that does is it inhibits the breathability in that zone where the pocket might be by having your moisture vapor needing to escape through all those multiple layers. So if you get rid of the pockets, not even you can open up the breathability of that finished product, right? Not even from a material standpoint, but just strictly from a design standpoint. Same thing with no pit zips, right? A pit zip is a zone that when that pit zip is closed, it's not going to breathe as well. And so you can have ultimate breathability in a garment by doing an absolute minimalist like this. And this Skybreeze is the expression of that. Utilizes a 15 denier, so ultra lightweight face fabric, laminated to our EP fast free membrane, and then the CNET backer, which is our lightest weight 3-layer backer that we make. So here you can see on the left side of this a microscope image of our CNET backer. This is called CNET, stands for circular knit, a proprietary GORE-TEX technology that allows for a very open, breathable structure, but also have enough knots to be smooth sliding against your base layers or against your skin. And then on the other side, that sort of fuzzier version, that's what they're using in the transport, right? This is a brushed tricot backer. So they take a tricot knit and then they basically break the fibers by brushing it to create a bit of almost like flannel-like feel on the interior of that jacket to give that softness. So very different intentionality on the backer technologies, and fascinating to see how Hoka deployed this in their first set of GORE-TEX garments launching this year. The Skybreeze, I'm very excited about this. I think it answers a call for the absolute minimalist jacket. And I know that you got one, right? There it is. And it is extremely packable, right? It actually rolls into the hood quite well. And then when you do that, you can kind of just stuff it into anything and make it disappear until you need it and you're able to deploy it. And this got a lot of action out at UTMB this year, the ultra marathon at Mont Blanc, as the weather was quite bad this year. And so the ultra runners were able to use this and really be able to have this ultra lightweight kit, which is super cool. So just wanted to give you a little preview of that. It's launching for wholesale channels in the spring. So right now it's exclusively online at Hoka as well as at Hoka stores, but we're going to see this starting to roll out a little bit more into the future. So an exciting addition to the GORE-TEX quiver, absolutely, at least from my perspective. Well, thanks everybody for joining this evening, afternoon. We do really appreciate you spending your time with us. Take care, everyone. Have a great afternoon and great evening wherever you are, and we'll see you back here soon on the Experience More Tour. Thank you for joining tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Marshall.
Thank you.